Hello again, Kendopolis! This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with another Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor commentary, and of course, this is where I create your favorite characters in the Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor, a feature only on the Wii U and PC versions of this game. Check this out, we got our Ugandan Kendo right here, of course inspired by Ugandan Knuckles. You guys saw that back when that meme was a thing. So let's see, we're gonna go ahead with a creation today that's actually a remake of an old creation, and so of course, I basically choose the objects based on whatever's most popular, most requested in your comments below. We'll start off with the man as the source object for our creation of Eggman. So again, this is a remake, because I did make Eggman way back in the day. That was like in 2013, and this series was still kind of in its infancy a little bit at that point. But alright, we got an ostrich egg is going to go over the man's torso after we took off the head, the arms, the legs, all of that. And we'll go with the grenadier, and of course that comes up with a few options, as you guys, if anybody's a veteran that watches these episodes knows, the grenadier fish is what we just took and grabbed the fin of that. Cuttlefish, that top tentacle piece right there, that's really got that kind of like thin look to it. Baby Kendo's behind me. If you hear my baby boy, my baby son, basically, he does have a little bit of a cough right now, so you may hear him in the back. Just behind me, we had an amber for that other button because the cuttlefish was a button on that one side, and it was interesting because that gave us the sort of, I guess, illusion or the look that it is from the side. So all of these characters, I always discuss this in Scribblenauts, well I guess I don't always, but consistently whenever I do bring up where we're sort of looking at these characters, the viewing plane is basically like a quarter turn. So they're not turned all the way horizontal, they're not looking straight at us, they are sort of from that quarter turn view, meaning that, you know, perspective matters, I would say. And so we did ruby for the buttons there that are next to this zipper, which is basically the glow stick. And so we took the glow stick in this game and gave it a color pattern that's kind of got that net spiderweb pattern to it, and painted that gray over that, or silvery. Kiwi, the fruit, of course. The kiwi fruit is going to be for the buttons here, kind of on this side. It's to our right, of course, that's Eggman's left. The letter I right now can be for the straps and whatnot right here on his clothing, so that's going to be good. And I think that's like, this is a really good Eggman shape. You know, it looks eggy. That's exactly what Eggman, he looks kind of egg looking. But anyway, we got Flurry right here. That's one of Maxwell's many brothers in this game. He's got a ton of them. And so Flurry, the back arm of that will work. And I like the fact that Flurry's basically right above the fist, you know, in between the fist and the arm, kind of where the wrist is. The yellow that we've painted right there, it's a little bit jaggedy, you know, it's not just straight or whatever. I think it looks like Eggman's sleeves, basically, and the wrist for his sleeves as well. And we'll go with Tots. Tots is another one of Maxwell's mini brothers, and so Tots will be for the legs. You can take the back leg of Tots. A Dayfly right now, the wing of the Dayfly can go in the back if we paint it all the way black right there. And so that's sort of a way that we can play with this, like, painting things all the way black. That can get rid of any shading, any design, you know. So if you ever have a stamp that you're like, okay, well I want this shape, but I don't want all of the stuff that's on it, you know, like if it has a design to it, you can just go all the way black or all the way white and get through those, and that works. We got a minus sign coming up because we just did two dots down there for where his legs are, down at his feet, you know, it looks like almost like screws right there on the shoes and whatnot. So then the minus sign will be for this almost zipper look that he has also on his shoes, whereas we had the glow stick on his sleeves, because that's running all down his sleeves as well. I'm just gonna name it Eggman right here. We do have a little bit more stamp space, not a whole lot. Okay, yeah, there. That's gonna be the stamp limit with that one thing. So we actually just did fangs. Now, you could also go with a star, like the star from space. You could even do possibly a starfish, but that might be creeping out the side. And just basically, you want 2 points kind of coming down here, attached to the torso, and in the back, it'll look like some flaps from his outfit. And that's all good. So we're at the properties editor right now, and you guys know if you watch this series, this is where we always read background information and fun facts about whatever characters we're creating in these episodes. So let's go for it! Dr. Ivo Robotnik is obviously the main antagonist of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, but he was always known as Dr. Eggman in Japan from the very beginning. Some drafts of the unpublished Sonic Bible specify that it should be pronounced Ivo Robotnik rather than Ivo. For the name he first had in Western countries, the Sonic Bible is basically an internal document created by Sega of America in 1991 during the production of the original Sonic the Hedgehog game. You can look much more into that if you want, but we'll get back to focusing specifically on Eggman, who's actually gone through many design changes. We've designed Eggman today to look a lot like his Sonic X appearance and a lot like his appearance in Sonic Adventure 2. As I mentioned, we created Eggman in this series back in 2013, a year where a lot of my recent remake creations seem to be coming from, as that was pretty early on in the life of this Scribblenauts creation show. And anyway, that was episode 39, and we discussed a lot of the fun facts and background information over on that episode already, so certainly if you want to know some fascinating tidbits of info, you can head on over that way on my channel, way back. Use the search feature, of course. We got a head as the source object. We're going to put a pearl down here after using grills, that's Grillz, and we'll go with the Triceratops coming up next. So the pearls are going to be for his little sunglasses, lenses right there. And that Triceratops, of course, he's got a crazy pointy nose and all of that. So then we'll put an eyebrow here as the bridge over that Triceratops nose. And it'll bridge basically his two lenses of the sunglasses, and we're gonna go with a man-eating plant after that. Grab the bottom jaw of that man-eating plant right here. Gonna look pretty good for the mustache hairs. There's kind of a lot that you could do. I mean, back in the days on our original creation of Eggman, and you're gonna see this from 2013, he had hair as the object that I chose back then, and again, my scope of knowledge in the game was a lot more limited than it is now. Now it's basically unlimited. But alright, we'll go with a plate after we just put down that ear right there for his ear, and the plates are going to be for these goggles up on the top of his head. Now, something about Eggman you'll notice, especially in his more recent art and whatnot, and by recent I mean basically going off the design I mentioned before of like Sonic X, Sonic Adventure 2, it's like you can tell he's got this big brow, it's like right where his eyebrows are, so I wanted to include that using eyebrows over the lenses of his sunglasses right there. An eyebrow in the middle of those goggles on his head, but also then there was a wake skate, so like a little wakeboard right there is, I think you can also just type that in, and that's like a strap there for the goggles on top of his head with dots, a series of dots there for the green as well as the black on the goggles there above the plates. And we'll go with hair, why not? Just we need to add a little bit more to this since we have stamp space. To do so, we're gonna add a little bit more mess to his mustache right there, so that's good. Okay, so we're in the properties editor for the head object. You want to go down to the equipment tab and check off this circle kind of near the bottom that says can be worn on the face like glasses. So fill that circle in anytime that you're doing a head and a body separately, because that's basically the reason we would do that in this game, is so that we can get around that stamp limit. If I didn't mention it already, I don't even know if I said this, but Scribblenauts Unlimited is actually limited in how many stamps you can put on when creating your object overall, so you don't just have unlimited pieces to use, unfortunately. Then you just basically would put the head object into the hands of the body object here. It's like you're giving it an item, but with that script that we did on the head object, it moved it in the right place. Now you can see I'm editing the body object because when I put the head into the hands of the body object, you could tell that Eggman's head was way too high up there, and the body was also really small in comparison. We wanted the body to be a lot bigger actually than the head. It's like his body's supposed to look big and egg-shaped compared with his head being a little bit smaller than that, at least by this particular design that we're going after. So let's see. We'll give that a look, and I think that that's going to do it a lot better. So notice that the head is kind of in the right spot that we need it to be. We increased the size of the body a lot more, so that's great, and I'm definitely happy with how our remake creation has turned out for Eggman. Thank you guys for voting for it, because Sonic the Hedgehog is my favorite video game character of all time, so taking anything kind of from the Sonic franchise and designing it here in Scribblenauts is really, really fun for me. I love that. So anyway, we're going to go on with the MECHA as the source object here, and you can see that I've removed the head and the arms and the bottom of the legs. Now on the 14th page of this color pattern and texture pattern library, if you click that paintbrush down at the bottom middle of the screen, that's got that newspaper pattern, but then on the 12th page it also has in the top left corner, there's that sort of grid-like, I don't know, it looks cybernetic type pattern right there. And so with those two textures we can start our next creation, which is going to be completely different from Sonic. It's going to be Five Nights at Freddy's 6. We're going to go with Molten Freddy, of course, right here, and that was another hugely requested character kind of over several weeks, but didn't end up being the most popular or the most requested until this week. And so let's see, we got a cat tail coming up, and cat tail, of course, you don't want the plant, you want the actual tail of a cat. And then I'll go with Helix. So Helix is this like springy shape shape. If you're in Scribblenauts Unlimited, you can actually just grab it from the geometry library of various shapes rather than having to type it in, but I always try to type those in just in case any unmasked players are playing along right here. We got Dory right now, of course the fish, not the boat, and we took the little bottom fin down there. It looks like a hand, and so this Molten Freddy is, I guess the main challenge of it is that we don't ever really see a full standing image of Molten Freddy. We do see, of course, the image of the mess of wires that it is kind of in that alley picture, and you can create that Molten Freddy if you want, but I was going for the Molten Freddy that's more of an animatronic in like the salvage stage, or you know, when you basically see it sitting down and in the office, stuff like that. So notice we just put down a whole bunch of those cattails kind of everywhere, as well as that helix shape, and then I'll go with the Hydra. You can take any of its bottom feet basically to be the feet of Molten Freddy here, so let's go ahead and name it, but I might have enough stamp space. We could add one or two details if we need, so you know, I put an eye there on the body, and one thing we don't want to leave off is definitely the bow tie, and it looks like we can do a little bit more detailed. Yeah, so that's going to do the stamp limit. Okay, so that's fine. There's another look at the error message that happens when you use all the stamps you can, and so I did two bow ties because we want like a smaller one within that bigger one to give it a little bit more ruffling texture, and so that's going to do it for that. So let's go ahead and read background info and fun facts about Molten Freddy. The animatronic consisting mostly of wiring similar to Ennard from Sister Location, but now in FNaF 6, is Molten Freddy. It possesses no outer suit, but has the decayed Funtime Freddy mask with sharp teeth and some blood spatters all around the mouth area. The top hat and bow are rusty brown colored as well, and while there are several eyes visible in the rare death screen from FNaF 6 that shows a depiction of Molten Freddy sitting in the alleyway, again as just a mask on a tangled up mess of wires and endoskeleton parts, we didn't have the opportunity to include a lot of those eyes that are all around the body due to the stamp space limitations, which I talk about every episode within this game. Now clearly, by looking earlier at the design that I've chosen to go with, you can see of course that we're making Molten Freddy salvaged, and actually more with an upright design like his jump scare. And now that we're on the head object right now with a tube top and golem shoulder pieces, I think I'm gonna actually go with the orange eye, even though you can also see his eye being yellow for the custom night icon and such, or orange like we did here with the salvage attack, and red for the office attack. Let's go with an Irish moss after having these pieces placed down that you see on screen right now so far, and we'll go with that cattail once more, and the cattail is going to be good for extending down his jawline right here. It's going to give this almost wired look like that, and that's why I used the cattails earlier. So let's go with Pill coming up next, and Pill, I love this stamp. It's a very useful stamp because basically it can give us that shape of like a lot of the arms or tube top even in Scribblenauts Unlimited, but it's split down the middle, meaning we can color it two different colors basically. And so Gravy I just put down right here after another Irish moss went down. Nautilus is what we're gonna type in after that, and we'll take the little tendrils down there. It's like the little antennas and stuff. It's gonna look like a little tiny hand, but I'm gonna use it actually to give the illusion of wires coming out of the eye right here. So for the eye specifically, we'll go with circle. Even for the one that's to the left, that would be our left. That's, you know, like the blackened out eye right there, and then circle with a golf ball in it will be for the actual eye that we can see lit up. And again, I went with the orange. Sea snake, let's grab that back tail piece of the sea snake right there. That looks good. And we'll paint it all the way black. Again, if you paint something all the way black, for instance, that sea snake, it had almost like a zebra print kind of pattern to it just by default in Scribblenauts. And so here, you know, I painted it all the way with that midnight black, the blackest it could get, and it takes away that zebra color pattern or whatever. 18th page of the color pattern library, there's this crater looking texture right there. It's got little dots and stuff like that with the white, and that looks good for the top hat right there, so it doesn't look just kind of like straight up clean. You know, we want that top hat to look nasty and gritty. Let's go with a bubble after putting down those two wishbones. The wishbones are going to be like that part, the two parts holding up his ear right here, and the bubble will be for the ears. And so on both sides, of course, we got two bubbles. And then we go with the letter I right there beneath the nose. Gonna split that snout part down the middle, and a twiddle looks like it's gonna make us reach the stamp limit right there with that twiddle. I would have liked to include a little bit more, but that can be some of the withering and blocked out parts on Molten Freddy's snout. So that looks good. Let's name it Molten Freddy Head. And of course, just as a reminder, go down to the equipment tab on the head object, check off that circle or fill it in that says can be worn on the face like glasses, and that should be good. So there's our Eggman, and then now we've got the Molten Freddy design. Let's put that head right here into the hands of the body object. Notice it's way too low. Of course, I kind of expected said, "What, you trying to kick me?" But let's see, so I figured it wasn't going to be where we wanted it to be, so I'm going to edit the body again. Let's just edit the body object, turn on the green grids right here. You use that button on the left side that has Maxwell's head and a banana and a wheel with dotted lines all around that. Click or tap on that green grid where the head is supposed to go, and you can start moving it around wherever you need it to go so that the head will be placed where it should be. So of course, looking at that earlier, you know, the Molten Freddy head was way too low, so I moved it way up. So that should be good. Yeah, there we go. So there they are, both on screen right here on the map. And our Molten Freddy keeps on wanting to kick me, just keeps like throwing his leg forward at me. That's one of the MECHA's animations. But you know something? If we got Molten Freddy right here, it looks like actually his height. I mean, I imagine that Molten Freddy would be tall like that. So I don't know, Eggman can be pretty tall too. But here we are fusing these two universes together. Who knows how that would look? But in Scribblenauts, this is how it's gonna go. And why not? This is something we do from time to time, especially if we have more than one creation on screen. A lot of the times we'll make them battle, so let's do it. I'm gonna make Eggman hostile, and of course he comes after me first, for God's sake. Okay, there he goes. So now he's gonna be attacking Molten Freddy, way stronger than Eggman, definitely, and I think that that's probably how it would go. You know, if Eggman had one of his vehicles or relied on pieces of tech, weaponry, I think Eggman could have done that, or at least been much more of a formidable foe. Hey, but that's alright. So I mentioned last episode at the very end, things are going to be changing around here with how they're chosen and whatnot. Just the channel format will change a little bit. These aren't going to be huge changes, but we're going to be going a little bit away from the most popular, most requested thing. It's just some people, unfortunately, have just been giving me hell, really saying nasty things if their creation doesn't get made each week. And it's like, you know, I was very clear for many years about, hey, most popular, most requested is what gets created. So we'll be trying something different come April. So that's actually in the next commentary. It will be on April 1st, but it's not going to be an April Fool's joke, anything I talk about in there, so just know that. And of course, I will catch you over there on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.
Down the road of twists and turns, always anxious to see what's within. We can look ahead to the point of no return, to the rest of our lives as a spectacle.